See, even goas with in temple as well. Yeah, we took her in the temple and she said, "Okay, let's go."
Okay. I don't know.
We are surprised too.
We were.
We still are.
Okay. Did it happen today?
Yeah, she was playing Holi and I was seeing her.
Hmm. No, I'm trying to tell you about the tense. Suppose it's something new. It happened today that she went to a temple with you guys, and you haven't still accepted that. How could she do that? Normally, Muslim people don't go to temples, right? So you could be, I'm still surprised like that. Okay. A lot of young people have their own minds, and they don't listen to social restrictions and religious restrictions, and they do things the way they think is right. Hello. And the best thing is friendship, if that stays, if that, I think, because of me saying something or doing something makes somebody happy, I'll do it happily, no issues. Rosanna,
Hello, teacher.
yeah, I want to see a big smile on your face. Yeah, okay. Well, I have been very, very busy lately. Very busy.
I know.
So busy that I was annoyed that I had to spend a couple of hours last night at a party. I didn't want to stay there that long. I mean, I was happy for the people, but I really didn't want to spend that much time there. So let's start. Did we finish 9.8 yesterday? Or we didn't? We didn't. Okay, let's. This is 9.8.
8. An interview with Liz Davis.
Hello and welcome to Book World. This week in the studio we have Liz Davis from YAP, Young Adult Publishers. Liz, many people get confused about the difference between children's literature and young adult literature. Are they sometimes the same thing?
Yes, they can be. Some of our books are for children as young as 12, and they aren't very different from other children's books. But many of the novels we publish are for 15 to 18-year-olds, and the...
So YAP publishes books for children as young as 12, and books are not very different from other children's books, but then most they publish are for 15 to 18-year-olds.
stories and subjects in those are not what you usually find in children's literature.
And the subject and the stories are different, right? They are not usually found in children's literature.
They're, well, more adult.
Now, children's literature is very big business at the moment. Is that because of the recent popularity of young adult fiction?
No, not really. We're in a golden age of children's literature for all ages right now. And it isn't the first golden age. There have been 3. The first came in the 19th century, with the earliest fantasy books for children. Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan were the first novels where ordinary children had adventures in a magical world.
And until then, children's books had been quite serious and educational, hadn't they?
Oh, yes. People thought children's stories should teach them morals.
People thought children's stories should teach them morals. People thought children's stories should teach them morals.
They were about children getting into dangerous situations.
Those stories were about, those stories were about children getting in trouble,
Situations in life because they
difficult situations, dangerous situations in life.
behaved badly,
They behave badly.
and only the well-behaved children managed to escape.
And only the well-behaved children managed to escape.
There's a lovely story called The Storyteller by
There is a lovely story called The Storyteller by
a writer called Saki, which makes fun of this idea.
which makes fun of this idea. This story makes fun of this idea.
And when was the second golden age?
And when was the second golden age?
In the 1950s.
In the 1950s.
There'd been the Second World War and the atomic bomb, and a lot of children's stories were now more serious, about saving the world from evil. Tolkien's Lord of
In the second golden age, the stories were about saving the world from evil.
the Rings is a good example, and C.S. Lewis's The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. It's not just the children in the story that are in danger, it's everything.
It's not just the children in the stories in danger. It's everything. Everything is in danger. The whole world is in danger in the second golden age of children's literature.
And isn't that true of a more recent example of young adult fiction, the Harry Potter series?
Isn't that true? Isn't that true about more recent examples of Harry Potter series?
The Harry Potter series?
Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. It's not just the children in the story that are in danger, it's everything.
And isn't that true of a more recent example of young adult fiction, the Harry Potter series?
Yes.
But the woman doesn't like to call Harry Potter series young adult literature. She says,
Although I'm not sure it's correct to call the Harry Potter books young adult fiction.
I'm not sure it's correct to call young, Harry Potter series books young adult literature.
They were the first children's books that people of all ages read.
They were the first children's literature, or children's books that people of all ages enjoyed reading. Yeah.
Very young to the very old.
From very young to very old, all people.
It's only the later Harry Potters, when the children become teenagers, that are more like young adult literature.
So in the later books, when Harry Potter grows up, becomes a teenager, then you might say that the story is more like young adult literature. However,
But they're still not typical examples because
they're still not typical examples of young adult literature. They're still not typical examples. They are not good examples of young adult literature. Why?
they're all about the problems of using magic.
They're all
Modern
about problems of using magic. Yeah, I don't know. I have never watched even one of the films. I have not read even one of the books. I have no idea what they actually talk about and what the stories are about. I know there is a guy who flies on a broom or something. That's it.
young adult novels are usually about the ordinary, everyday problems that
Young adult literature is about ordinary people, ordinary young people, about ordinary problems in day-to-day life.
teenagers experience.
So the stories aren't set
Modern young adult novels are usually about the ordinary, everyday problems that
Ordinary everyday problems that young people, teenagers face.
teenagers experience.
So the stories aren't set in fantasy worlds anymore?
So the stories aren't set in fantasy world anymore.
No, not so much. Some are. The Hunger Games books, for example. But most young adult literature is set in the very real world that
Most young adult literature is set in real world. It means the stories are about real world. Characters from, not real characters, real world. There will be fictional characters, but their problems will be the problems that real world people face.
teenagers live in.
Too real for some parents.
Too real for some parents. Some parents complain that why do our children have to read stuff like this?
Yes, that's true. In the past, people often complained that young people's literature had never shown the reality of
In the past, people complained that, young adult literature never showed the reality of the world. That was their complaint, that they did not show the reality.
Teenage life.
Reality of teenage life. They did not show in the literature the reality of teenage life.
Now, many parents aren't happy to find their children reading books that go into so much detail about relationships with the opposite sex.
And now a lot of parents are not happy about their children reading about, teenagers, getting into relationships, having sex and stuff, Parents don't want their children to
And
read.
about alcohol and drugs.
Yeah,
And how do you
And how do you feel about it?
feel about that?
Well, these problems are part of life for teenagers today.
Yeah, these problems are part of life for teenagers today. Today's teenagers and the teenagers of the past. Let's compare 50 years ago. How different. Rasana is here, Lena is here, Yasmin ma'am, I mean, we can tell you a little bit about what our teenage life was like. Did we have Manisha is much younger? Aisha, Vikas, Lena, we can't see you guys. Yeah. So tell me, anybody who wants to talk a little bit about their teenage life. Look at the life today, the world today, the things that teenagers have to do, and the things we did when we were teenagers.
Teenagers is from 12 to 18.
Yeah, 14, 15, 16, they're called teenagers, okay? They're not kids, they're not grown up yet, they're in the middle somewhere. We call them teenagers because then, okay. Technically, the word teenager refers to anybody whose age is in the teen, 13, 14, 15, and that's why we call them teenagers, okay? But practically, it refers to a group of people who are not young. I mean, they're not young like kids. They're not grown up like adults. They're somewhere in between. High school children. Okay, so they are called teenagers. So technically, I told you why they're called teenagers, because the word teen comes to the number. That's why. Okay, so I recall my teenage. Okay, look, curiosity about certain things as a teenager is very normal. We all had that. However, we didn't have so many resources back then. And we didn't have this Aladdin's, Chirag mobile phone, the lamp, anything you want. Yeah, hukum mere aaka. Today, that's what the mobile does, right? Anything you want. Back then, it was not. So we had more free time. We had more interaction with people. There were good things, and there were bad things as well. If we wanted solutions to problems, we had to depend on people. Today, you guys can go on ChatGPT, right? And talk to ChatGPT about your problem and find out what ChatGPT thinks, right? So life is very different today for young people than it was 40, 50, 60 years ago. Life was slow. We had to work. Maybe some people 100 years ago, 60 years ago would say they started earning money when they were teenagers. Their fathers took them to work. Today, teenagers are considered, in a way, children, and they're allowed to depend on their parents fully. They don't have to bring money home. But parents are more concerned about them being exposed to the ugly realities of life, I guess. I don't know. Tell me something you guys have to add here, I'm getting, Yasmin ma'am, I'm inviting you. You called yourself in your late 40s the other day. So you are very much from my generation. So how do you compare your teenage being different from your children's teenage? Your children are in their teenage.
Sir, my teenager lives are was very challenging at that time. This time, children are always tension free. They don't have any work, and they are privileged to have parents when are more concerned about them. But we didn't have. Uh, I remember my school is about 2 kilometers from our house, and I walked there. School. Sometimes my during exam period, my father rode me there by scooter. Sometimes.
Hmm. So who would you consider more independent, today's teenagers or teenagers of your time?
More dependent.
Independent
Today's children are more dependent on parents.
or dependent. They are more dependent on parents, today's teenagers.
Yes.
Let's take a
All
foreign opinion, foreign view. Let's invite Rosanna and Lena to talk about how they compare their teenage to the teenagers today. Rosanna, would you like to go first?
my experience is um, the teenagers are privileged, privileged now because I don't know. We had to be more behavior, behavior, uh, and we have to work when we was very young, and nobody, no boy, no girl could study because at such a time not all teenagers had studied, but we had more contact with the experience of life because we didn't read the chat on smartphone, on internet. We have experienced the life every day, I think.
So
We,
you go
I
on.
think the teenager today have more things because they can study, they have a computer, smartphone, but at the same time there are have less contact with each other in person and spend. We have had to work a lot, yes, but we had also the free time. We we went outside to be together. We don't have the smartphone, but we always knew where we were. Parents always knew where we were.
Right, right. Parents knew where you were. Today's parents, there is a bigger disconnect between children and teenagers than in the past. That's a very valid point, Rosanna. Mm. A lot of teenagers today do not connect with their parents. There is a big divide between the parents and teenagers today than in the past. Okay, let's invite Lena to hear her opinion as well. She's from Belarus. We would like to listen to what she has to say. Lena, your teenage life experiences, when you compare them to the experiences today's teenagers have, what do you think?
when I was a teenager, I was depend on my parents, of course, and I learned a lot. And I wanted to go to university. And when I was a teenager, I learned a lot. Yes, but now my children, my daughter and my son, they are independent on me at all. Because when my son was 13, he started to earn money as a blogger and a streamer, and now he has more money than me. So it's very big problem, because he is very smart, but he doesn't want to have to continue education after graduating from school, and he will graduate school this year in June, and he doesn't want to have any education after school at all. He thinks that his work, online work now, is the best. And yeah, but my son, I think my children are not typically teenagers in my country. Most teenagers in my country depend on their parents, and they I don't know how it says in English. Yeah, they listen to their parents, because they don't have money, but they have a lot of they wanted a lot of things, so they need
Lena's children are not typical teenagers. Lena's son started earning money when he was just 15. He has started blogging and streaming, and I think from YouTube and other things, he started earning money. And yeah, Lena was dependent fully on her parents when she was a teenager. Okay, that's interesting. However, Lena also says that other children, other teenagers in her country are not like her children. Her children are not typical teenagers. So other teenagers depend on their parents, just like Yasmin ma'am said. Her children are very dependent on them. Today's teenagers depend on their parents financially. Remember, I told you, that today, in today's times, childhood has been extended. Today you consider a 15, 16, 17-year-old person, a child, can depend on the parents. It's all right if they don't earn money, okay? However, in the past, a 15, 16, 17-year-old person was considered an adult, actually. They were expected to bring money home. Girls were expected to get married, have children, right? So it's good time to be a teenager in some ways. However, all the exposure that you have today as a teenager confuses you as well. So from that perspective, it was much better times when we were young teenagers, 30, 40 years ago, because we didn't have so much of exposure. It was a blessing in some ways. For a lot of teenagers, it is very difficult to handle all this exposure. You see, drug addiction is on the rise. You see, people are losing their mental peace. You see a lot of teenagers feeling depressed. I mean, when we were teenagers, depression, we didn't know D of depression. We were full of energy all the time. We had crazy ideas in our heads. Today's teenagers are a little bit, I will say, unlucky, because they have too much exposure at a very, very early age. Sometimes it is too difficult to handle it. So they are, in a way, victims too. So it depends on how you see it. Okay, it was lovely though, this discussion. If you young people have something to add, please go ahead. Kushi, how long will you continue drinking? Put that bottle down. Yeah, guys, can you see that? Oh, I know she was frozen.
What are you saying?
Oh no, your video was frozen with the bottle up like this. I said, how long will you continue drinking? Okay, your mother usually says she didn't even know. She didn't even know. She didn't even know what headache was. What headache was. She didn't even know what headache was in her teenage. In her teenage, not there. There are two, three mistakes because you have to understand. She didn't even know. She didn't even know what headache was in her teenage. Okay, other people, you want to add something? Everybody is invited to say whatever they want to. Aisha, does your mother compare her teenage with yours? Does she tell you how lucky you are to be a teenager today? This is parents' typical style. They always try to show that their time was very difficult. They had a hard time, okay? And today's
Yeah.
are lucky. I say this to my daughter as well. I had to bring water on my head, which is true, which is true. I had to actually, and I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it. We were up for all types of challenges. Yasmin,
I
ma'am.
think we are financially free.
Aisha is saying my mother is very cool. Yes, she is, Aisha. Yes, she is. But if you come on mic and say something, when she talks about her teenage, and when she compares your teenage, you see, in small towns, not so many things have changed, except for the exposure, YouTube, Facebook, and stuff. Values are very much the same. Yes. Anybody else, Simran? Does your mother talk to you about how her teenage life was? Or dad? Anybody else wants to comment? Yasmin, ma'am, just wanted to mention,
My
maybe life was difficult back then for a lot of parents because we were poor. Yeah. Indians in general were poor. Today, Indians have more money. So somewhere life has become a bit easier for some people. Let's say it
Yes.
this way. Yes, Khushi, you were saying.
But
Yes, Manisha. Manisha, go on.
sir, I have means different thing. My
Point of
papa's life was very good, and his life was means better than us. My father's. My dadaji spent so much money on my father because my father is three brother. Means two uncle and my father, so only my father is interested in means study. So my dadaji spent so much money, and उनकी सारी demand he fulfill all his desire and everything. My dadi said that without ghee your papa never eat, but we ate all the things without ghee, and we never demanded that I need these things, I need that things. So I think and he has coat, even we don't have any costly dress, we never wear. But my brother even doesn't have as much money as my father used to, means वो बर्बाद कर दिया करते थे. And he has so many girlfriends, and even my brother doesn't have anyone, and my father has
Papa consumed all.
so many and he is saying that, and he is the topper of ncc. So and he has got so many medals and all the things. Means, and we are not anything in front of them. Sorry, him.
Mhm. Tani, how long did it take? Tani, how long did it take?
What?
Getting ready?
she
Okay.
is looking beautiful.
I I went somewhere, sir. That's why.
That's
And
why.
today I didn't.
The 2 hours?
Where did you go, Tani?
Nosy.
Lakshya.
Huh? Lakhisara.
Lakhisara.
Have you seen Kasturandi Ghat Machli Talao?
No.
Haven't yet?
I went to Ashok Dham.
Oh.
My
Hmm.
father-in-law wanted
Hmm?
to
Munger
temple.
has a beautiful Machli Talab, right? Yasmin ma'am, you're talking about that?
Yes.
I've been there. I've been there. But the papi, side of me, you know, was thinking how tasty those fish would be on my plate, because they were big rohu machlis, 4 kilos, 5 kilos.
Whenever I go to Munger, my kids, yeah, after dinner, after evening time, we go to Machli Talab. My kids love to feeding fish.
Yeah,
Feeding fish.
yeah. They are really big sized fish, rohu,
Ah, big
Do you
size, very
know
big size.
people who really love fish on their plates, they are fish lovers too, but in a different way.
Mm.
So we just imagine, these big raw fish would taste really tasty, would taste really delicious. But again, other people make us feel guilty for those thoughts. Yes, Aisha, wanna add something?
My mother has always one complaint that when she always used to do a lot of housework when she was at my age. It sounds like she had a lot of responsibilities.
Right. Yeah, people did have responsibilities. Today's teenagers are lucky in that way. At home, they not much is expected from them.
Sir, was there rape cases in your case? Like we are afraid today?
Hmm. Look, Khushi, it has always existed that man to man torture. One man will take advantage of another man. It has been always there. Okay. Those two,
Women were safe in that time, like we are not today.
I feel very sad when you say things like this, um, because I really don't want any young girls to feel this way. I'm a father of a young girl, okay? So when you said that, it hit me very hard, okay? Very hard. I don't want to feel that the world outside is not safe for my daughter. I don't want to feel that, okay? There are lots of good people. Okay, don't forget. On the way back, I saw a girl, pretty girl, traveling all by herself on the train, and we were just sitting next to each other. We had lots of conversations. So I don't really think the world is not very safe for girls. Okay. It's just that no, they need to be a little bit smart in their judgment about where they're going and at what time. Because again, there were thugs, Kushi, have you read about the thugs when businessmen, would earn money and would be coming home, thugs would just behead them and take all their wealth. So at least that's not happening today. So the world is a lot safer today than it was in the past. Thanks to camera surveillance, thanks to mobile phones you have, thanks to better policing. The world is a lot safer today than it was in the past. Please don't fall for the propaganda that the world is not as safe as it was in the past.
But
It is not.
crime is
I
increasing
just
these
want to
days.
know.
No,
I
ma'am.
didn't know.
That's not true, Yasmin, ma'am. That's not true. Crime is not increasing. That's just a nonsense thing to say.
Because of all these things, but
Okay, you
it's
tell me,
increasing.
when is there more crime? When the roads are lighted or when the roads are all dark? Obviously, when the roads are all dark,
Thoughts are all the yeah.
right? So today roads are more bright, lighted or darker. So today roads are more lighted. Clearly, there are less number of crimes. There is less number of crimes today than in the past. But it's just that we get to hear about most of the crime or crime cases because of the fast media we have today. So more
Mm.
news reaches to us. That's why we think there is more crime today. But that's not true. The world is a lot fairer today, a lot safer today. And it is only going to get better and better because people will like it. They want to live in a safe place. So yeah, but there will be crimes.
I saw a murder in 2019 at Vandana's name.
Mm.
In Ramadan, after Ramadan, in Ramadan,
Okay.
So the police were tried to close all the shops at earlier. I don't know why. They are open lately. They don't want to. They haven't they do the crimes.
Okay, you're trying to tell me when the streets are deserted,
Yes.
lonely, then criminals feel stronger, emboldened,
Yes.
and they are more likely to commit crimes. And when the shops are all open, then there will be less chances that the criminals will take the risk. True. Organized crime is what we can control. And unorganized crime, like one individual decided to do something silly all of a sudden, nobody can ever stop it. Organized crime is very much in check today than in the past because of, I told you all the reasons, better policing, better policy making, and better surveillance. A lot of parts of our cities, okay, are under surveillance. So criminals are definitely discouraged from doing anything silly now. So I would say sometimes what happens, we become emotional and make this, make statements which are not really factually true. Okay, Yasmin ma'am, it is not true to say that today there is more crime. No, the world never
More
had.
crime is increasing.
What do you mean? Crime is increasing and there is
Facilities
more
are
crime.
the facilities are more modern or technology are increasing, but on the basis crime or more increasing and increasing.
I don't agree. Again, I would say maybe there are different kinds of crime today than in the past, but overall, the world is a better place and a safer place, in my opinion. Things are happening, bad things are happening all around us, no doubt. We are not living in Ram Raj. I'm not saying that. The whole world is, can see that there are problems. But
At
then
least
these problems are not as intense, as big as they were in the past, and they're only going to get smaller and smaller with time. I am a positive thinking person. I'm an optimist, and that's how I see things. I know a lot of people believe that the past was better. That is regressive thinking. The past was never better. If you have a one-on-one conversation with me, I'll tell you so many things that were so bad about the past. Today you talk about crime against one person, but in the past there were crimes against communities. Okay, today there will be at least no crime against community, there will be crimes against individuals. But in the past, and it was kind of socially sanctioned crime. Think about the time when certain people could not go to school because they were born in a certain caste, and you don't consider that a crime? What are you talking about? Think about the time when a certain group of people had to pay extra taxes because they belong to a certain religion and it was okay. Today, do you think any particular community will have to pay extra taxes? What are you talking about? Times are much better today than they were because people's mindset is changing. People today believe in equality, and those who believe in equality will always contribute towards a world which is better, fairer, and safer. There were times when women who had desires, who had ambitions, were considered bad. Today, women with desires and ambitions are respected. We have so many women leading nations. There are so many women who are nation heads, country heads. Was this possible in the past? You might find one or two cases of Razia Sultan or Lakshmi Bai. Okay, but that they were exceptions, right? So how can anybody in their sane mind say that the world was better in the past than it is now? No.
I don't mean to world is not getting better. I agree, world is going better now, but in the ratio, crime is increasing. I mean to
Today
say.
there are 8 billion people, Yasmin ma'am. Okay, the world had never had 8 billion people. So obviously the number of crime cases, okay, will definitely be higher in the same proportion. From that perspective, yes. Today we have the most crime because we have the biggest population today in the world. However, again, today people are more aware and overall opinions and beliefs and sensibilities are towards, making this world a fairer place. People stand up against injustice. A person is wrongly treated somewhere, then there are lots of people who are in support of that person, that victim. In the past, it was difficult. It was difficult to support somebody who was not powerful. Today, it is possible. You often hear social campaigns, how they help causes, a rich person's son killed somebody because he was rash driving and tried to escape, punishment. How there was a social media campaign and the governments and the system were forced to take action. So, yeah. What about food? We have a lot of options, Kushi, a lot of plural, a lot of options today, like pizza. No, we didn't have so many options as teenagers earlier. We had the same foods that locally were available. Okay.
Don't you feel bored with the same thing?
Okay, Kushi, when you ask me about that, I'll have to answer. Samosas never tasted, have never tasted the same as they did when I was young, I remember I got one samosa for 1 rupee in my high school, and that samosa was so yummy. Today, nothing tastes like that. So I think we people, we never think that we missed out. We never have that feeling. Yasmin ma'am, do you have that feeling that we missed out? I feel very lucky that I'm not a teenager today in a way. Okay, because I think today's teenagers are suffering the way I look at it. Okay, so I'm happy that
Sir,
I'm not a teenager today, personally. Other people, Rasana ma'am, would you like to be a teenager today? Rasana, would you like to
You
be a
want to say we are not in a safe direction? What do you want to say?
I mean, life is hard for teenagers. That's what I'm saying. It
So
was much
should we
sir,
easier
regret?
for us in certain ways. Yep.
sir, you are saying that the days are getting better these days. But do you know the quality of food, the quality of air, and there are so many things that is getting worse day by day.
Pollution is a real problem, and all the challenges, pollution-related challenges are real as
Yes,
well. I agree.
even in past, people don't have means diseases like these days. Means increasing day by day. Even we got ill very easily, but the immunity of the people were very good in the past. And today, nowadays, people are not like like past. So they ate on no nothing like these days, but they were fit. But nowadays people are very much aware about their health, and so many they are doing exercise and all the thing, and in and still they are not fit as they were.
Okay, how would you know? Would you go individually and check their fitness, or there is another way to find out?
No,
There
sir.
is something. There is
I
something
have
called.
seen.
There
I
is
have seen
something
my
called
family.
average life expectancy, Manisha. There is
I
something
have
called
seen my
average life
family.
expectancy. No, no, wait. It's not about your family. It's about world. Average life expectancy 75 years ago in India was just 36, 30, sorry, 46, 45, 45. Okay. Today it is 70. Average life expectancy. A lot of children died when they were just born. Infancy, mortality was much, much higher than it is today. So why are you saying? I said pollution related challenges are real. Of course, life related, lifestyle related problems like, you call it what? High blood pressure, diabetes, these things are a real problem today, no doubt. But please don't try to make it sound like, oh, the past was so great. Average life expectancy was so much lower just 30, 40 years ago. Go, please Google it. What was life expectancy? Do you know what it means? Average life expectancy. Compare it. Okay. Today in India, it is around 60, 65. Okay. So what was it about 30, 40, 50 years ago? Much, much lower. So we are living in a better world in many ways. Rosanna, I was asking you, would you like to be a teenager today?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
But but on the one hand, yes, of course, yes, but on the other hand, I I see teenagers who are close near and they don't speak each other, but they look at their smartphone and no, and I think this is not good because I remember how many good game play we played outdoors, and it was very beautiful. But we uh, gave the money to our parents. Now teenagers don't work, but if they work, they keep their money and also are supported by parents. So are very, very lucky in my opinion. Oh yes, I would like.
Okay, that's a good way to think. Lena, would you like to be a teenager today? Do you think it is a better time to be a teenager than when you were a teenager?
Yes, of course. Now teenagers have more opportunities for good um, for good life. I think in mm, all part of life. Like yeah.
Yasmin, ma'am, they are saying they would love to be a teenager today. How about you? In today's,
Yes, sir, of course.
yeah, is it a better time than yours to be a teenager?
Yes, sir. Of course. But
Hmm.
one thing, today's children are more focusing on education, and they have to hard work a lot for complete an examination or anything.
I
They
wouldn't
are
like
real.
teenager today in today's times for one reason, maybe. I think deciding to be married is such a difficult decision today. I'm so lucky that I'm already married. If I were single, if I was a teenager today, I would have to deal with that challenge. Who would I marry? I would
Have
have
you had love
1,000
marriage
girls
or
on my
arranged marriage?
Instagram, 1,000 girls on my Facebook. How would I choose from 2,000 girls? And 1,000 somewhere else, maybe on Twitter. How would I choose? Who do I want to spend my whole life with? That would be very difficult. So I'm really, really
But you
glad
can
I'm
get
not a
better
teenager.
option.
Kushi?
You can get better option.
Too many options are never good. Nah.
Sir, have you had love
You can
marriage?
select persuasion.
Ah. No, it's just so scary, this idea that you have so many people around you and you have to choose one of them and feel that you have made the best decision. You know what happens when you have too many choice or too much of choice? After making the choice, you always have this doubt.
You
Did I
can do
make the
easy,
right
sir.
choice? You're never happy with the choice you make. You guys will know that. You guys will know that I'm telling you, Simran, Khushi, Aisha, who else is here? Sanjeev is living a very traditional life, so I don't know about him. Okay. But you guys are modern people, you see. Vikas, I'm telling you, people, okay? It's going to be very hard for you to eventually say, feel I made the right decision. You will make a decision, I know. But will you have that conviction after being married, after saying yes to somebody that I decided the right thing? I don't know. There has been research
Even
on.
we face this problem in education as well, not even in relationship.
Yes, Kushi, that's what, again, you can still, smart people, those who have multiple interests, they find it so difficult to decide what life, this direction they want to choose, career direction they want to choose. A research was done where some people were asked to buy things from a big mall, supermarket, where they had too many options to choose from, more options to choose from. And then some other people were sent to buy things from smaller shops. And after they made their decision, bought their things, they were asked how happy they were with their shopping, with their choices. And the people who bought from bigger shops with more options were found to be less happy because they thought there was something better, but they made the wrong decision somewhere. Okay, they thought perhaps they could have selected something else. But those who bought from small shops where they had fewer choice, okay, less choice, those people were more convinced about that, made the right decision. So I think it's a real challenge, and I find it really, really scary. Okay.
No, so it's
But
not
the
even
thought,
you go to mall or anything, you have multiple choice to choose, and you choose better things, good
Yeah,
things, best.
after making the choice, you feel perhaps something was better than what you thought, than what you decided, than what you selected. And I'm not saying this again. Human nature is this way. It is not my opinion. Research has been done, and I'm telling you, you will see a lot of teenagers confused about these things. They have all the freedom they want, and still they can't settle down. You'll find a lot of people in their late 20s. They have been dating for 8 years. They have been dating for 10 years, but they have not been able to choose one person. Why is that? Because there is so much of choice. Back then it was easier.
That is happening with me, sir, right now.
Zafari Babu. How many rishtas have come?
Not for girls, sir, for clothes. I have a lot of options.
Yes, exactly. And you want one for Eid, right? You're choosing one for Eid. And you
Yes, sir.
one
12 बजे होगा.
right? Yeah.
अभी नहीं टाइम है, अभी नहीं.
This applies in all aspects of life. When you have too much choice, then you find it difficult to feel happy with the choice. It's difficult.
but sir, it's with you too.
It's with me.
Like
How?
we have problem in relations, like option in relationship. You have problem in like you want to borrow some clothes. You have many options. Then how can you say it's just with us? This problem is with us on options problem.
Why? I'm sorry, I'm not getting you. Why do I have a problem? Means I don't have too many options or to choose from. In what way? When I go shopping.
Like
when I go shopping.
in many aspects, else relationship.
I am settled in my relationship now. I am married, right? So even if I just talk to somebody for 5 minutes, that's a different thing. I know that person knows it's nothing serious, right? So it's not like that. If my wife talks to somebody for 5 minutes, it's not like, that's like, interesting person, people come around and you spend 5 minutes talking to them. That's not a big deal, right? But you know that you don't have to make a choice. You've already made a choice and you're pretty happy with it. You trust the person that is with you is going to take care of you through tough times and good times, or both. So that is the thing that you want to decide. That is what Tani Verma has already chosen her partner, but she didn't choose herself. Her father chose for her. So some of you guys will be lucky that somebody else will make that decision for you, and later you can blame that person if something goes wrong. Tumne kiya tha. Okay, but when you do it, when you yourself choose, who will you blame? So why did I say Khushi, Simran, Aisha, and Vikas?
Don't blame her parents.
Sanjeev, because perhaps Sanjeev has a traditional lifestyle. Despite challenges today, teenagers are more aware of social issues than past generations. I agree, Aisha. Today's teenagers have a better sense of fairness. What is right, justice. They are more just. I agree. I have to accept that. That's why the world is a better place, because every new generation has a better sense of morality. I will disagree with all those old people who say aaj ke generation mein ye nahi hai, wo nahi hai. Today's generation, every new generation has a better sense of morality. And that's why this world has become fairer and fairer and fairer with each generation.
More brave and more.
Everything is good about today's generation, except that they have too much choice.
In my teenage life, I was so timid person.
You are timid.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But
We
my
face a
daughter
mix
is
of
different.
traditional and modern
And
challenges.
I'm glad to see that.
Aisha, I would like to hear you, listen to you, but let Yasmin man finish. Yes. Yes, Yasmin man, you were timid when you were a teenager. Your children are
Ah,
not timid. Yeah, they're brave. They're
yes, yes, sir.
confident. Good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Aisha,
This
what
is
point
the
were you
good
making?
thing I like.
Yeah, of course, of course. Aisha, what point were you making?
So we face a mix of traditional and modern challenges, both like mental health issues, social media pressure, constant exposure to social media can lead to comparison, um, unrealistic beauty standards affecting self-esteem, and also academic and career pressure.
Aisha, just one suggestion, beta. Don't involve any outside thing when we are having a discussion. Okay. I know you have used some outside help to find out the points that you are, counting. Don't do that. Participate in the conversation, because that thing can be done later when you're writing an essay. But how will you develop a language skill when you're not involved in the conversation, beta? So be on camera just like everybody else and engage in the conversation, sweetie, all the time. Okay. Fully. Yes. I know that list can be prepared later as well, beta. But still, something. For example, what I was saying, Aisha, when you made that point, today's generation is more aware. I totally agree. My daughter has a much better sense of justice, fairness than I did. I had a much better sense of justice, what is right, what is fair behavior, right behavior, than my parents. Okay. Why is these things, like, what do you call them? Uh, Casteism or fanatic religious beliefs. Why are these things on the decline? Because of today's generations. They are saying no to these things. They're saying, we don't believe, right? We don't believe in these things. So, of course, every new generation is like a fresh breath, fresh air. And they definitely bring new changes with them. So, of course, we have to credit all the changes that we see in the world to the
But
newer.
we feel pressure to get good grades, choose the right career path early.
Yeah, like there is always two sides, okay? Good things and bad things, of course.
We
We didn't
only want good
much of
things.
preparation, that kind of pressure. Life was much easier for us. We had to do physical work. We had to bring water, okay, on our heads. Fair enough. But there were other things that were good for us. Like I said, why are children today, teenagers today, depressed? Think about it. Yeah. So the
Sir,
world.
they are not scolded
Comparison.
today, these days.
Come again, ma'am.
Today's children are not scolded by their parents.
I know. You see,
Uh,
okay, can we
that's
say
why
this?
they are
Say it
sophisticated.
this way then. Can we say it this way? That humans are becoming softer,
Mm.
and they're not as rugged as they were in the past,
Mm.
because they're living better
The
lives.
part parents scolded their kids so too much.
They are getting more facilities, right? They are getting better life. And that's why they're becoming less, I will say, stronger. They're not as strong as generations before.
Yes, sir.
Imagine those who lived in the jungle and the way they survived, they managed. Today's people can't, right? So it is a
Yes,
constant thing. So every new generation is more delicate than the previous in some ways.
yes, sir.
That's also true. But their sense of justice is definitely better. We'll have to admit.
Yes, sir.
So,
They are
guys,
so smart,
yeah.
smarter than we were.
So all these discussion was pretty good, I think useful, and we are going to wrap up now. It's 8:35, and we will continue. And tomorrow, hopefully, we'll finish this audio file. It's been going on forever and ever. Okay, so hopefully we will read another thing. We'll study something else tomorrow after finishing this audio file. Do listen to the audio file though. Okay, it's a fast audio file. Only if you listen to it 10 times, 20 times, maybe you'll start to understand it better. So let's meet tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir. Good night.
Good night.